Well, hello there, stamping friends. This is Traci Raether from Plum Crazy Stamping. Today is April 29th of 2026, and it's time for our weekly card making lesson. I'm so glad to be here with you today. So very excited that we have a new catalog coming out next week. And in light of that, this is the beginning of what would be the normal time that we get an annual catalog, but Stamping Up has changed that, and we're going to actually be seeing 3 new catalogs over the course of this year. And this is the first one. So it will have all the basic things that were in the annual catalog, but it will have also new stamp sets, dies, colors. That's the in colors we're going to feature today, which are fantastic. And then new embellishments. The new stamping positioning tool is going to be in this catalog. Anyway, lots of great stuff coming. So as you're joining me today, please let me know your name, where you're watching from, and you can put that in the comments in Facebook, and you can also do that in YouTube, but you need to be in your Google or your YouTube account. Those are both the same thing, and then you can use the comments there. So let me go ahead, put the camera down, and let's get started. And let's see, there we go. All right, so here is just, I wish I could show this to you, but not quite yet. But this is the outside of the new May to August 2026 calendar. And actually, if you look at these ladies, they're giving you a little clue into some of the in colors. And they're fantastic. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, it's always software stuff has to pop up. Anyway, good morning, or actually I should say good afternoon, Diane. Hi, Kathy from Florida. Sorry, I keep hitting my screen because it's trying to install some software. Anyway, but the good news is next Tuesday, I will be able to show this to you. So I'm going to do an additional live broadcast next week at 1 o'clock on Tuesday and 1 o'clock on Wednesday, so that I'll be able to show you highlights of the catalog. But since I ordered the in colors in advance, I can show those to you today. So let's check them out. All right, let's see here. So I thought I would just show you with a little cardstock. Oh yeah, and now I'm going to be tested on the names. I better make sure I take a peek at these. I don't want to get the names wrong. That wouldn't be good. All right, so here we go. And the first one here is actually called Peaceful Pines. This is a gorgeous green. Can't wait to use that. And how it sits next to the other greens is also gorgeous. And then, oh my, purple blue kind of look. It's called Hydrangea Hue. And then a golden glow. You know, I really liked Bumblebee. This is a little oranger than a bumblebee, but it's so pretty. And then crisp cantaloupe. So if you like flirty flamingo, I think this is a little darker. And then barely blush. So a very pale pink. Aren't those pretty together? So in addition to being able to, have these colors, then of course they come out with things that match that. And let's look at the inks first, because that's something else new that is coming out. And oh my gosh, I just opened these this morning. And I have to tell you, I'm already in love with them. Now you can tell I haven't even marked them with the stickers that are on the back. So they give you the stickers that have the name, and then you're able to mark them. And actually they give you two that are actually have the name, so you can put it on both sides. And then the other thing about this is these open differently, and they're magnetic. You just pull the lid off. I can't tell you how easy it is, and then how that closes. I don't know if any of you have had the same experience that I have trying to flip open the old pads, and I've actually flipped it right at myself. A couple of times I've caught it, and other times I haven't. But anyway, this is awesome. Another benefit of having this is this stack also is magnetized and sticks together. Doesn't fall down. Now, I liked our last set of pads. They also had grooves where they would sit together very nicely, but they were not magnetized together. I just think this is going to be a little bit easier stacking. They're going to fit in your, if you had something that these pads fit in, then these are going to fit in the same thing. So they're awesome. I can't say enough about this magnet. And then the other new thing with ink is there is a basic black, and it's called a hybrid Stampin' Pad. Let's see how this one opens. Same. No, I don't think this one's magnetic. Let's see here. No, this one is not magnetic. But what's awesome about this is this will work like our Memento pad worked, and won't bleed with Stampin' Blends or with watercoloring, which is awesome. So now you just need one pad, not two different kinds of pads. So that is another new thing. And then, of course, we've got all the ribbon that match all of these brand new colors. So that's very pretty. And then there's two kinds of embellishments. We've got glossy dots, and we've got butterflies. These are called butterflies. Imagine that. 2026 to 2028 in colors. And they're really pretty. So we'll take a peek at those today. Can leave that to the side. All right. Let me just set these off to the side too as we're getting started. And I just want to show you the designer series paper that are also part of In Colors. So first they have in the new catalog, you're going to see it, every color family we have, whether it be neutrals, subtles, regals, and brights, have a set of this paper. And let's see, there is 20 sheets in here. And so the 5 In Colors, there's 2 of each color, but then you get 2 different sides. So you actually have 4 patterns of each color to use in your projects. So you can really make a lot of cards that look significantly different by having this. And then if you buy some of the solid cardstock, you can put that with white and get a whole bunch of designs. So this is our Peaceful Pine. I like to get these, the same set of paper in the other color sets too, because it makes stamping really easy. So then this is our Hydrangea Hue. I just think this is a gorgeous color. And then this is our Barely Blush, that very light pink. I'm sure it looks probably even lighter on the screen than in person, but it is a very I don't know if I want to say faint, but very light pink. And then this one, boy, I'm already in love. Called Golden Glow. Like I said, I really liked Bumblebee, so I think this is going to be a great new color. And then last but not least is crisp cantaloupe. And there we've got those. So, you know what I say to myself is happy crafting, right? Loving these new. Hi, Kim. Hi, Betty. Hello, Aileen from Canada. Nice to have all you ladies here today. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. And now we're going to look at the designer series paper that we're actually going to be using in our project today. And this one is called Bloom Boutique. And this has all 5 of the in colors in it, but very different from the last set of papers I showed you. Let me just grab this here. I've already got this spread out, so it'll be a little easier for you to see them. And each of these sheets of paper have 2 sides as well. So one side is accented with gold foil. Isn't that pretty? Kind of go like that. I think you can see the gold foil, maybe even a little easier on this one. And then you have a matte finish on the back of each one. So, like I said, it has all 5 in colors. So a great thing to use if you're really getting into these colors. The other thing is, we know they coordinate because when this platform of colors was created, it was made to go together. I don't have to figure it out, and I really like that. Okay. So today, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, I've got a couple different techniques and things that I want to share with you today. And so the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to feature all 5 of the colors so that you could see them. And so I looked in the card pack for a piece that had all 5 on one piece of paper. And so this is it. This has, you know, even the small flowers that are the golden glow. It's got the heather hue. It's got the peaceful pine leaves. It also has barely blush and crisp cantaloupe flowers. So this does it all. And I wanted to use white cardstock. So this has the white background. So that's the one I chose and why I chose it. And then I thought I'm going to show you something that makes cards more quickly by doing a little one sheet wonder here, a way that we're going to add designer series paper to 4 cards at the same time. I know I have 5 colors here, but I've already accounted for that by cutting a little bit ahead. But the first thing we're going to do is get our trimmer. So let me just grab that here. And I'm going to take the one piece. You can tell I've already cut this in half. So this is 6 by 12. Originally, it was 12 by 12. But since I already have this in half at 6 inches, now I'm just going to turn it the other way and cut it another 6 inches. So you can do the technique that I'm going to show you right now with 12 by 12 designer series paper or 6 by 6. I just shifted my 12 by 12 to be 6 by 6. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to now I've made a little template. You can do this next step one of 2 ways. You can make a little template so that as we go around, let me show you with my template how I do this. And then I'll show you the second way that you can do this. So this was a scrap that I had, and I cut it to be exactly 1.5 inches. The length does not matter. I'm going to take the top of this little template and I'm going to line it up at the top of the 6 by 6, and I'm just going to make a little pencil mark at 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to just take this and turn it, to the next side. And I'm going to line up my template again. And I'm going to mark it at 1.5 inches. Now, if I don't have this template or you don't want to take the time to make it, just take your ruler, turn this another quarter of a turn here to the side, and just mark with the ruler 1.5 inches. And then turn it again and move your ruler and do 1.5 inches. So either way is an easy way to do it, all right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut this piece into 4, cutting on those little hash marks we made. So let me bring back my trimmer. And we're going to make 4 cuts here. Well, actually 2 cuts will make the 4 pieces. So I'm just going to find where my little mark is there, and then the one that's opposite. And I'm going to line them up so the very end of that little hash mark in the edge of the piece of paper are in my cutting track. And then I'm going to kind of keep my finger and hold this in place, and I'm just going to slide it until the top of the hash mark right on the edge is also in the track. Then I'm just going to hold it down and flip the trimmer down and take my first cut. Okay. Then I'm going to leave the paper together. So I'm just going to slide it as one piece, and you can reline it up if it slides, no worries. And then just put the edges back together. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing. So I've got that hash mark right in that cutting edge. And actually, sometimes you got to hold the other edge of this paper. And I'm going to slide this just a little bit. To keep those edges right in there. And then, hold it down. And then one cut from the hash mark to the hash mark. Okay, so now I have my 4 pieces of DSP, Designer Series paper, cut. Now, how easy is that? 1.5 inch measurements around each side, and then just 2 cuts, and you've got these 4 pretty pieces, okay? Now, sometimes you'll see this hash mark, sometimes you won't. I just like to erase them. Then I don't have to worry about it. Just in case somebody is looking at it very closely. Otherwise, I don't know how many people would actually notice them. But just to be safe, I like to erase. All right, so I've got my pieces of paper. Now, as I said, I am looking at just using one piece of a half of a piece of basic white cardstock, and this is cut the normal 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and that's going to be our card base. Then I took the all the different colors, and I cut 4 by 5 1/4 to highlight these colors a little bit more. Now you could just make, you could use this card front without putting, or the card base, and use the front of it without putting anything additional, and just either use a frame around it that way, or you could go right up to the edge. So this is how much layering and color accents you want to do. But there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, okay? But I decided that I wanted to actually, bring these colors forward because I wanted to be showcasing them for you. So let's just take my, now I got to look at the names again. Golden Glow. And just center that, okay? Then I take one of these pieces of the 4, and like I said, you could either put it on here to leave a border, helps, provide a little more contrast, or you can have some continuity from the white to this piece on here. So I kind of like it that I'm going to just take advantage of having, another frame around it. Okay. So that it kind of pops. And then when I was looking at this, I was thinking, that gold that's on this designer series paper, so pretty. I don't want to lose that in what I'm doing. So I actually thought I'm going to take some gold foil, so one of our specialty papers, and I just cut this out with a 2 1/4 inch punch. And then I took a 2-inch punch and actually punched out a circle. Okay. And then you have the gold kind of popping out. When you look at your card sideways, you see the gold and the flowers. I hope you do. Oh, there, that helps when I put it under this other light a little more. And then you have the gold around here. I try to find, I've been saving that specialty paper, whether it be glimmer paper, glitter paper, foil paper, vellum paper. I'm trying to get it incorporated into my cards and actually enjoy the beautiful things it adds to my cards. All right, so that's what I did with the paper. And then I did that across all of the different colors. So let's just set them out here. And like I said, this is all the same paper. I'm going to actually just have a couple of different sets of this. And the thing is, I'll have the paper will be going different ways because I have the 4 or 5 different designs, because I cut this again so that I would have one, extra for all of the cards. But they all look a little different. But isn't that so pretty to just have the splash of designer series paper? And it's a good way to make that. Oh, and I'm glad it's going better for you on YouTube, Kathy, in case anybody else is having a problem. And Diane, for the cutting measurements, it's just on the 6x6 DSP or designer series paper. Make a hash mark at 1.5 inches. And think about it, it's 1/4 of the 6-inch distance. That's how the 1.5 works out. Okay. All right, so we've got those, and then I decided to feature, I had fallen in love with this when I got it, and I haven't used it yet. So this is the product of the month from last month. It's called Notes of Spring. I think this is still available, and it will be available until it sells out. This was the March product of the month. And, the little fawn, we've got a little duck, the bunny. There's a floral, and there are some clumps of field grass, plus 3 really nice sentiments here, especially for you, a little note of thanks and happiest birthday wishes. Anyway, I really like this, and I think the sizes are going to go with what I got going on here. All right, I don't know where that other circle went. Well, we'll find it here in a moment. So let's go ahead and make these into a card. Okay. I'm just going to kind of set them up so you can take a peek at all of these as we put them together. So let's start with, let's just go the heather hue here. All right. And so I'm going to put the little animals inside the circles. And so I thought that I would do the blue will be the little fawn here. So what's really cool about these stamps is this has an outline for the fawn, and then it has the two-step stamping for a distinctive stamp, and it's for shadowing this. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to need my Pierce mat because when you're doing shadowing or you're doing a solid image, since these are photopolymer stamps, you want to make sure that you have the pad to help create a nice image. So we're going to do that, and then I'm going to get some scrap paper here because I'm going to stamp off on the shadowed image. And let me just find this will be the first time I use the hydrangea hue, and I'm just going to open it up. Set it right here. Hope my take your pick tool doesn't end up in there. All right. I'm going to do the outline first. So, and I have to remember these are new ink pads. So, number one, I need to condition my stamp. That means stamp it a couple of times to make sure it's taking ink. You can also then take your Simply Chamois or your scrub and you can wash it just to make sure there's no oils left from the production process or lint or something on there. Okay, I'm going to just make sure that's dried off. All right, so now I've conditioned my stamp, and so I tap. Sometimes I twist it just a little bit, especially when it's a new stamp. All right, and now I'm going to line it up, and it's just going to fit in here. Okay, so straight down and straight up. All right, and then I'm going to condition this stamp too. Now this one I don't think I have to do the washing because remember I'm going to stamp this off just to get the nice shadow. So, and then I'm going to line it up. Gotta love photopolymer stamps. And just fill in the outline. So that looks just so cute. Okay, and then that's going to go in here. All right. Let me just put the lid back on here. I have them upside down right now, but that works. Okay, so then to just add a little bit to this, I thought, you know what? I'm going to get these ribbon out on day one because I forget that I have them. They match perfectly, and I'm going to use them. So let me just try to find where the edge of this, there it is, the plastic is. Open up my ribbon. I'll tell you, it's the little things that drive you nuts. Okay. And I'm just going to take a piece and go across the front and tape it down. Okay. So get my Scotch tape out here. And that's why I didn't, glue any of this down yet. Remember, I try to go through and do all the things I want to do so that I don't forget. And so now I can glue this on. And, I'm going to glue it on to show the frame. And remember, less is more when it comes to gluing. You don't want it gushing out. You don't want to see, ripples on your designer series paper. You just want enough that it holds it in place. And by eyeballing this, you end up getting that straight. Okay. And then I'm going to just flip this over after I place the ribbon. Let's see, where do I want my deer to go? Now, the choice that I have is I kind of like to cover up these points with whatever I'm doing when I use this, design. So now you could put this behind the deer, however you put it, or, do it right in the center if you like to be symmetrical. And the other decision is, do I want it like to go right below or right above? And do I want to put a knot in it? I actually think this one, and this is just my opinion, everybody might have the different way they like to do it. I'm going to just leave it and not put a knot or a bow on it because I like it just behind there. So I'm going to glue the deer down to the foil. So let's do that. And that's just centering because I used punches that were 1/4 inch, different, so I could line it up. All right, and then since I'm going to put him here, I also should think about where I want to put my sentiment. So this one is happiest birthdays. And then there's a real skinny one here, especially for you. That'd really be small on the bottom here. And then here's another one that is a little note of thanks. Actually, I'm going to move this up and put the ribbon behind there. And then I'm going to put that sentiment right there. All right, so each one you probably have to just take a look at because your designer series paper is a different shape on each card. So now that I know where I want this, I'll just flip this over and tape down the ribbon. Or you can glue it, or you can use a tape runner. Whatever you want, you can use a glue dot. Scotch tape just seems to work the easiest for me. All right. So now I'm going to glue this down. And just center it on the white card base. And actually, well, once I had this all set, I should have done the stamping in case it doesn't work out, but I'll add a label if I have to. So let's do this next. Now, the choice I have here is using the matching color, which will be darker, or I can use one of the colors that are in here. And I thought since I'd like to do these as a set, I'm going to use the same color on all of them except the Peaceful Pine, because I'm going to use Peaceful Pine since it's all the leaves. So let me find that color over here. You could also use black or brown on all of them. I like that this actually, matches. And I'm conditioning this a little bit. You can tell it didn't pick up all the ink right away. There it did. So just tapping and a little twist there. Okay, and then just kind of centering it between the paper. There we go. Wow, that's easy to close. Okay, and then I'm going to put dimensionals on here. There's our first card that matches the set. And you know what? I probably could have moved it down a little bit, but you know, however you do them will be up to you. And each one will look a little different, but you'll end up with this whole set. Let's see. And then if you didn't want to use a full circle, I just wanted to remind you how to use masking paper. So I was practicing with this one and I thought, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to just, I glued this onto my masking paper and I'm going to fussy cut around this. And remember when we fussy cut, we leave a little border. Oh, I know. I was just, yeah, because I wanted to add, you wouldn't have to put this on masking paper if you just wanted to fussy cut. I'm actually doing something a little different because I'm going to use this as a mask and not as, you know, an image that I want to place, but I want to use the, field grass that they provided in this stamp set as a background on the front too. So you could do this to every image as you're designing it. And I didn't think of this until after I had done the first example. But I'm cutting closer because otherwise you will have a gap between the image and the stamped field grass. Let me just kind of get some of this away from here so I can get a little closer. Okay. So this time I'm trying to go right on the line. So that's the difference in cutting out a mask and when you cut out an image to be fussy cut and then put on your project. So masking paper is something that you buy separate and you kind of end up making a sticker that can be a mask or it can be a sticker that you put into something. I'm going to try to get in between his feet here or it'll kind of look funny because the field grass will have a little square of, you know, white with no field grass behind it. And don't worry if it's not exact. It will be close enough. Okay. I just got to get the white center out of there. Without cutting his toes off. Okay. And then let's get underneath his head here and his beak. So if you don't have masking paper, you can also use Post-it notes, but make sure that part of the image you're cutting out is on the sticky part of the Post-it note so you can stick it to the page where you're masking. I mean, I've made the whole thing on a Post-it note and not had the sticky part. That doesn't help. All right, so there's our mask. Now let me just take one of these circles and I'm actually going to first, whatever you want to be in the front is the thing you stamp first, okay? So I want the duck to be the thing that's going to be standing up in the front, so I'm going to stamp that first. Let's see, I've got this color over here, a Golden Glow. And I'm going to first do the outline. Okay. And then I'm going to take the shadow and I'm going to stamp that off, and then I'm going to line it up. So we've got our duck. All right. Now I'm going to add the mask. And now there's one little line on the mask that has a cut area. If I can try to get the image over that, it's a lot easier to peel this off. Okay. And then how sticky you want this. I like to press this like on a piece of clothes or whatever and get a little lint on it so that it's a little easier to peel off. I have had these on here so tight that sometimes I've peeled off the design. So I think you'll kind of find what's comfortable for you, but I find if I just, stick it on my shorts or whatever and then put it on there, that's fine. All right, so now let me cover this up. And I'm going to actually use Peaceful Pine for the grasses. So I'm going to keep in line with the colors. And so you can decide, light or dark. I think I'm going to do a little bit of both on here. So we'll go here. Oh boy. Let's see if I can. I don't think I had ink there very well. So let's do this. We're going to actually improvise here by using light and dark. Okay, let me get this out of the way. And let's move our mask. And you can use this again. So I keep masks once they're prepared. I put them in the stamp set so I can use it again. So now we don't have just our duck sitting there. He's got field grass around him. Let's put him on this one. So that adds a little bit to your image. And you could decide that maybe you wanted to not put the same color coordinated ribbon. Maybe you want the green, to pop with that. And then if you do the green sentiment, okay. And then the last thing you can think about as you're making all of these is, do you want to use embellishments? So with this, let's grab the glossy dots and I'll get my take your pick tool here. And, I'm going to keep things with the same color. So I think I'm going to put one actually right there. And then let's see, I kind of want to make a triangle of this. We'll have one there. Well, I'm going to make this a weird, long looking triangle there. So you've got your embellishments as well. So with that, that's what I have to show you today. And you can tell I'm going to be busy afterwards. If you're interested in how they all look when I'm done, they will be in my weekly email, as well as just some notes about making this. And there will also, this will also be posted on my Facebook page, and the video will be available on YouTube. So, please check it out. And I just want to do a shout out here. Hi, Mary Jane. And let's see. And the circle size, Diane, is 2 inches on the white and 2 1/4 on the gold. Oh my gosh, Kim, you had 176 cards and envelopes that you made. Wow. And Kathy, I'm glad you have this set. It's so cute. And I guess the last thing I'll just remind you is, what do we have? One more day left to earn the Cute as a Bug card tutorial free from me for a $50 Stampin' Up! Order through Plum Crazy Stamping. And to get the Eyelet Blooms, which is the product of the month for April through Stampin' Up!, a $75 order allows you to get this for $5. So just a reminder. And as I said, don't forget, next Tuesday, I'm going to have an extra live to share the catalog and some of the products that are going to be in there. And then we'll have also our card making lesson on Wednesday at 1. So I'll get to see you a couple of times. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing well, and happy stamping, friends. Let's just go there, and I'll say take care. Bye-bye now.